Hey guys, this is Jared.
And this is Brandon.
And we're here today to do something entirely new. We're going to start doing some Super Sentai kind of commentaries and reviews.
Yeah, Power Rangers has always been sort of a big thing for us. And I guess we were probably in early high school when we learned about Super Sentai. I think it was in Wizard Magazine. Maybe it was the first time I had ever heard about it. Or Toy Fair one.
Yeah, Super Sentai was a brand new thing, and it both just floored us. I was online and happened to see some images from fan side of all these, all the different Super Sentai teams, and I knew it was Power Rangers. So
yeah, unmistakable.
Hard to believe, but anyway, though, we'll get right into it. We're going to be using the Shout DVDs for Zyuranger, which is spelled Z-Y-U Ranger. So some people say Zyuranger. I say Zyuranger. I think it's a little closer to the actual pronunciation.
Yeah, we're trying to match up to the theme song the best we can.
Right. So basically, we'll give you the countdown. We're just on the main menu of disc 1 to the DVD. And, of course, we're going to have the subtitles on. Not that it'll matter. Anyway, though, so I'm just going to get into the episode list. And we'll look at the first one, The Birth, episode 1. So here we go. And on 0, you can press play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, here we go. Woohoo.
I mean, automatically, if you're an old school Power Rangers fan, you'll be seeing things that are just going to blow your mind.
That's right.
And the neat part is things like the shots of the dinosaurs there. It's like you see them in the first episode of the it's in the intro when they do the morphing thing, right?
Yeah.
In the first episode, you have like the weird.
They do cutaways to those dinosaur animatronics. It's so weird to see them in
you
proper
never see
context.
them. You never see them again,
which we'll see in the episode, here in a little while.
Yeah.
And we see them a few times, several times, and in this.
Yeah.
And I like how the introduction, uses the little dinosaurs more. We only saw a few shots of them in the original premiere. I always love these shots of the Rangers using the show, and we hardly ever saw the bikes.
Yeah, the bikes that were merchandised all over the place.
It's actually
still
the
have
first
some of the toys.
Power Rangers toy I ever got was the bikes, the Black Ranger and the Red Ranger bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, those were direct imports.
Yep.
With the old school Bandai figures and everything.
Yeah, that was the scale for the figures in Japan for Bandai for a long time.
And that was the same with Kamen Rider and all that stuff.
Which we only sort of got sporadically here.
We probably need to comment on this awesome theme song.
Oh my! It's just so, it's so catchy, and I could listen to it. In fact, we did listen to it for like an hour. We just had the menu going in the background.
That's right.
It's so good.
You'll find that it kind of endears you to it if you just leave the DVD menu on for a while. So.
It seems a little out of time, though, too, and not in a bad way. It seems like it comes from more like the early 70s or something.
Oh, yeah, and the camera work in the show also seems like it was filmed a long time ago.
Well, this was produced in, 92? Maybe produced in 91, released through 92 in Japan.
Yeah, produced in, 91,
So, I mean, not that long ago, considering, but just it looks ancient, by comparison. But
so here we go, and this song to me is so bizarre. Let's go to the woods, young lady. That doesn't seem creepy. And then here's Barza. Of course, he's like the Zordon equivalent.
Yeah. Or is he Mario?
Overalls were still a thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Here's the space shuttle, and they identified this as the planet Nemesis. And when I was a kid, I always just assumed Rita Repulsa was just, on the moon.
Yeah, well, in the U.S. in our show, she is supposed to be, I'm sure.
They actually identify Nemesis.
Oh, really?
In MMPR.
Oh,
but it was really random. And so it's weird. They just sort of mentioned it, and yes, and I thought for sure. That it was just the moon, because that's where Bandora's palace is, which is on the moon, even in this.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. This is what cracks me up. They're bringing kids on a mission to this other planet, which is apparently right behind the moon and about a hop, a skip, and a jump away from Earth.
Yeah.
But we're not here to nitpick the logistics. It's just funny.
Yeah, this planet Nemesis. Now, there couldn't be anything wrong.
Now, this is the one thing that bothers me. Then this premiere is fantastic, except for Barza's weird ear here.
Well, yeah, it's charming.
Here's footage that MMPR used.
This must have been filmed in the same rock quarry as classic Doctor Who.
Probably. The Japanese sister rock quarry. These kids will be important for the second part of this premiere. Here we go.
Oh, we saw that 60 times.
I know, it's a bunch. Oh, there's that ear. Yikes. It's pretty cringy. Pretty cringy. Hopefully, we don't
Just
see that
gross
again in
looking.
the show. I've seen most of it, and I haven't seen it yet. So
Yeah.
Monsters.
After 10,000 years,
Oh,
I'm free.
man. Here's Bookback, Topat, Pleprecon, which is my favorite Japanese name for the monsters.
Grifferzar. Or Farzer.
Mrs. Bandura.
We talked for years about, which obviously they finally did last year, but doing a new Power Rangers movie. And we always thought that it would be, more digestible for audiences if they just called the character Bandora, because Rita Repulsa just is kind of a goofy.
And they talked about having a hard
alliteration.
time with the name.
Yeah.
But they should have just did that. Now check this out. 170 million years is how long she'd been asleep in the Sentai, by the way. What was it? In Power Rangers, it was just 10,000 years. Here, it's quite a bit longer.
Yeah.
So just a little something to point out here. And I love to see more of this footage here. Like here, she blows these guys away into the vacuum of space.
They are dead.
It's crazy. So here she identifies Earth as her old home. And in Sentai, she actually has a reason to hate Earth. In the MMPR, it's very ill defined why she hates them. I mean, it's not real well defined here, but they still stick her with some kind of reason. We'll get into that. The buildings moving around to me are hilarious.
Oh, it's so cool.
But I like it. Could you imagine the real devastation of this happening, like for real?
Yeah.
There's actually some pretty good rear projection back there. Like, it's not bad. There's Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood right there.
This is like getting like extra footage for Godzilla in 1985.
Yeah, it really is.
Which, by the way, if you haven't picked it up, get that crack unreleased Blu-ray of The Return of Godzilla. It's very good.
Oh, wow. I wasn't even aware.
Yeah, they still can't include the U.S. re-edit, of course, for legal reasons, but it's got the English dub from the international territories, so it's pretty neat.
Now, no matter how silly this is, the logistics of this is actually fairly terrifying when you think about a building just going up. And here's what I really like, is that she just plops, like, the headquarters building, like, right on top of this thing. Like, it's wild. The Bandora Palace.
which was in some classic Power Rangers. It's in the Genesis game.
It's in the Genesis fighting game,
and,
which people have speculated was developed more as a Zyuranger game, but that's kind of debatable. I've looked into the history of it.
Oh. See, you don't even get these like super good clear shots of the palace in the original show, so it's...
You see, to me, this is just hilarious, by the way, where she's on the bicycle, which there's some shots of this in the viewing globe.
Oh, yeah.
In MMPR Episode 1.
Yep.
Listen up, you stupid humans. It's a very literal translation going on there. The most powerful witch of all time, Bandora.
Well, we know that's not true. It's witchy poo from HR Puff and stuff.
Now, I think that Bandora is... I think she could top any Japanese Sentai or Tokusatsu villain.
Oh, yeah.
I think Bandora is just the best. You believe in love or whatever. You should hate and kill each other and destroy yourselves. I love how nasty Bandora is. She just... And clearly a stunt woman on the bike back there, but still. Well. And this, I like how they actually do a little mentor battle here right at the beginning of the show between Barza and Bandora.
This is the kind of stuff we always wanted to see in Power Rangers.
I always want to see Zordon fight her.
Yeah.
Somehow. Maybe he could take his tube and crush her.
Let's just assume this is what Zordon would have looked like as a young man.
I defeated you and stole your spells. So they already had like this whole battle that it alludes to. And we have a snake situation here.
He killed it.
When a water hose turns into a snake, you're in trouble.
I can remember years and years ago, sort of the rampant fan speculation about Rita stealing the green power coin from Zordon and stuff. So I'm sure that this had a big part to do with that. This footage was used in Power Rangers as well, or some of it. Not
they use some of this about the space shuttle, but they give it in different context. We'll get there though, but they have a different context for the space shuttle. to me, it's clear that why they just decided to use Bandora and not just recast and make it like some other actor or actress in like a costume or whatever, or redo the villain. Because I think that Saban and everybody could see that Bandora was pretty special.
Yeah.
Whereas they didn't keep like Barza, or something like that, and he's fine. But Barza is really lacking a development in this first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he really is lacking a lot of development throughout the show. I think Barza could have been really interesting, but...
Well, he's no Zordon.
No, Zordon has a ton more backstory and history than Barza does. But they had a lot longer to develop it with Zordon.
Yeah, of course.
They certainly didn't develop it in the first season.
No, just sporadically. What is it there's, they would show flashbacks of young Zordon in season 1, and it was footage of the Black Ranger?
It was Goshi from Zyuranger. It was far-off shots of Goshi fighting, but we'll get to that footage eventually, but it's pretty interesting. Now, I love the way that all this looks like out through here. Mm. Like, the command center, is really cool from a nostalgic point of view, but good lord, if you put it, like, beside this...
No, there's no comparison.
It's garbage compared to this, and I hate to say that.
It's a garage, in comparison.
Yeah. Which it looked better, by the time Zeo and they rebuilt it and all that, and it looked nice then. But this is, kind of a mystical sort of look, and I think that's why I like it so much.
Love these statues.
Oh, the statues are beautiful.
Just all this, think of all the tremendous artistry that went into making these reliefs and things.
Oh, yeah. See, the idea of the 5 tribes here is so great. And also that they have these costumes that they wear when they're not Rangers, which would sort of come back for the movie, when they had their Ninjetti kind of costumes.
I think that's where it came from.
The old movie, that is. The old 95 film.
They've done that off and on. I think in Ninja Steel they have that, right? They have sort of ninja training costumes or something. At least they do in the toy line. They might not even come from the show, for all I know.
Now, Goshi's my personal favorite here.
Talking about Zordon?
Boy.
Boy, is he a boy.
May. She was extremely young when she's in the show. I think she was 15 or 16 in the first episode. Mm. And Dan, the most basic American name you could imagine. To me, Dan is about the most boring out of them. But we'll get to more of that as the show goes on.
Just like Billy.
Kibro, what? Goshi kind of seems like the adult in the team dynamic here, but
he does, yeah.
Now, here's what I like, is that they go into battle without the Red Ranger. Because they can't, wake him up, the key's broken or whatever, so... Now, if you look at this, I know that this seems, kind of silly and quaint right now in 2018, but really, go ahead and cry, and, she's going to kill these kids.
Yeah.
This is, there's some real stakes in Sentai. You've got the astronauts were definitely killed
murdered
at the beginning of the show. Yeah. The kids are in danger. You see, they go right to the bikes, so here we go. We're already, a million miles away from Power Rangers land.
I wonder what percentage, I guess maybe somebody's broken it down at some point. Oh, bumpers. I love it.
Yeah, the bumpers are great.
I wonder what percentage of this footage wasn't used,
I've studied both of them pretty intensely, and I would say that 70% of the footage is not used in the premiere.
Well, because,
pretty bad.
Well, they would...
Just for the premiere alone.
Well, it's the footage of Bandora and things.
Look at these. These puppets, man. Cute. They're great.
They would just reuse footage of Bandora over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
Going to new episodes.
Well, I think that they probably created a stock library of sort of mouth movements and reactions.
Yeah, that they could generically use.
I'm not saying they didn't a lot of the time, because in a lot of these episodes they did use their Bandora footage pretty well. But man, there was a ton of stuff. Later on, they're a lot better about using the footage. Mm-hmm. But look at this. I absolutely love this. It's it's kind of exactly like the opening credits of the Super NES Mighty Morphin game, where Rita's huge and all the kids are standing there. And
some serious Jack Kirby stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's Jack Kirby Sky back there, man.
Yeah.
I also like that the Rangers are pretty instantly overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Kind of amps up the stakes.
You would see this idea, pop up in Sentai and in Power Rangers.
I mean, they're defeated right off the bat.
Yeah.
Which is not, to go this extreme with it, I'm not sure was ever necessarily done as much again. Mm. Just instantly defeated. Which I don't know if that's putting too much too much emphasis on the importance of the Red Ranger or what, but they're going to fry him alive.
Yeah.
Which is kind of...
And eat them.
A little much, you know. Here we go. Still working on terrorizing these kids here.
And they're laughing the whole time.
This is worse than the Ewoks. Return of the Jedi. Let us out.
Cook them more. We should we should do a fan dub of at least one of these at some point.
We should. It's too late. It's not good. It's not good. Now check this out. The T-Rex actually had to get in there and help open up the vault. Oh, man. And by the way, there's some terrifying implications about them just being zombies in there. Yeah. Because later on, we see the Green Ranger, Barai, and he's pretty horrifying looking after being mummified like they were. Mm-hmm. State your name, Red Ranger. Geki.
Geki's outfit is like I could watch a whole like, superhero show just about this guy.
Geki's jacket's insane. Which Geki's going to be here in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Here in a couple of months, so that's exciting. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he gets to come and he doesn't have to cancel out or anything for Comic-Con. So it's going to be pretty thrilling.
What are the putties called? Dora golems?
Yeah, they're golems.
Yeah.
There's some.
Run the eye.
An arrow to the eye. That's incredible. And this poor boy here is our least effective fighter. At least Dan may be boring, but he's competent. It's Graffarzer.
Clearly, what they this shot, is what they were going for. Like when the Red Ranger's stuck in the chamber in Green with Evil. There's all the smoke everywhere.
All right, they have medals actually that they use, which are like the power coins, kind of things. The music here is incredible. You can hear like the electric guitar is like ramping up, and it really is like a high energy moment when they transform. And you see they have the buckler holders for the morphers, which is kind of a whole nother step to it that we didn't get.
Yeah, we just cut out of it.
Love these things, man. We saw Zyuranger on that so many times as kids.
Without ever realizing it.
Oh!
Well, even at the Dragon Zord's got the Z's on the... Has the giant Z emblem on the knees.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's all over the place, man. But as a kid, I just sort of didn't think much of it.
I just thought it stood for Zordon.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just kind of thought it was some kind of Power Rangers abbreviation.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when you see the actual stuff with Boy... Your mind, you never even think the Yellow Ranger was a girl because you just kind of mentally say, okay, well that's a girl in the outfit.
Yeah.
Of course, in America we had Tui Trang playing Trini, and this is some of this combat here is so high energy. Like parents thought that Power Rangers were violent, in America. If they had actually left all this fight footage in, which they left most of it in, by the way.
You just had to go in and do some cosmetic snippets.
Sentai's first episodes are always really good about like some of their best choreography they're going to put forward in the first fight, to make sure that people stick with the show.
Yeah, we get the performers warmed up and everything else. I was always so fascinated.
Now, check this out, by the way. The gun.
Yeah.
That was not. That was cut back
very
a lot.
Sporadically. We would get to see them. I was always so fascinated in our footage when you would see just the snippets of the putties with like the swords for hands and the kind of wrecking ball arms and stuff, or like the heavy ones that were like full like prosthetic suits.
Here we have a really cool little showdown. I love how the guns could just become little daggers.
We call them blade blasters.
Yeah, US. I believe we did.
Yeah. So pretty good proximity.
I like the whole premiere is cut really well because you have kind of the ticking clock kind of paradigm going.
Your literal countdown.
Yeah. And it's when you see the shots like that, you think, okay, that's pretty silly because the spaceship.
But
it's still the stakes are there, and it's a real fun idea. And here, check this out. This is just kind of an out of nowhere moment. There isn't a whole lot of
context
or precedent or anything, but this is it doesn't give any introduction, but this is just kind of comes out of nowhere. The Door Titan, I've seen concept artwork for this thing and looked at some of their plans for it. But for it to be the first like giant villain, that they're a curse word, that they come up against, it's just kind of weird that there's no precedent, there's no explanation, there's no nothing. I mean, that probably wasn't very important to them to do that, but here in America, we probably want some sort of precedent for that.
And again, like that suit was used, again, completely out of context. And
yeah, it was used in a later episode.
High Five is the episode from Power Rangers.
I believe so, which we'll get there.
Yeah.
But they do use that footage. These ending credits are bizarre. Dancing on top of the animatronic. I got a new car. It's not mine, though. And the shot of a dog. And yeah. I mean, anybody who's familiar with Sentai knows that she's getting married now. They're all going to marry her, I guess. Power Rangers polygamy force. But, I mean, anybody who knows Sentai knows how absolutely bizarre ending credits footage
the trappings of the show get.
I mean,
and she's watching them get married. She's jealous.
There's the honeymoon on the beach. There we go. It's a cat. It's just, you gotta just think they just like went out for a couple of days and just filmed.
Did whatever they wanted to. I would have liked to have seen like those ideas recreated with our actors.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Breakfast Club shot.
That would have been insane. We have the next time footage.
Bones.
It's funny when you think about it. I think this episode was a great premiere, but there's some things that Power Rangers did a lot better in their premiere. One of the things is that MMPR definitely gave a better explanation of its characters and their motivations in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, they really got everything. Like, it's about the perfect kids show premiere when you look at it. They really set it up very quickly. They cut all the fat, and before you know it, you're off to the races.
Well, yeah, that was the result of, I think that was the third version of the pilot they had shot.
You're absolutely right.
So, I mean, they tried very hard to get it down, correctly.
And really, for this, they needed another 30 minutes to really properly set up the tribes, the 5 tribes, and Barza, who really didn't get much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you think like you don't in the first episode of Zyuranger here, you don't even see the Megazord at all.
That's right.
Mecha, so.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers had instant Zord gratification in the first episode. They cut it that way to just very quickly get straight to the Zords, and so they skipped some episodes of footage to go straight to it.
Oh yeah.
And in America, they had to sell Power Rangers. It was a brand new thing. So one of the smartest things that they did for Power Rangers Episode 1 was go ahead and cut straight to full-on Megazord battle footage. And it was very important to do that because they had to hook the kids right away.
Yeah.
But in Japan, this wasn't a priority because the last season, in context, we got to think back to like 91, 92. The last Sentai season had been a huge revival and a huge success for Super Sentai. Mm-hmm. So they really had nothing to lose with Zyuranger because, well, no, let me try that again. We didn't. They had reestablished Super Sentai in a big way. So it's not like they had to be upfront with everything in the first episode. They could hold back a little bit. And they do eventually address a lot of this stuff that's wrong with the premiere. But it's just something important to keep in mind. It's a huge difference. But Saban had really good business sense.
Absolutely.
By going ahead and putting the Megazord in there and everything.
Well, covering all the bases. And, it's...
Right.
The first episode here, the birth, doesn't give you an idea of the... sort of, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. The modus operandi of the episode-to-episode sort of adventures, whereas the first episode of MMPR gives you an exact, by-the-numbers blueprint of what you can expect out of every single episode.
If you like Episode 1 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, chances are you'll will enjoy
every single
all the other ones from Season 1.
Yeah.
But you will probably be very tired of that format. It wasn't as good as at humanizing the characters as MMPR was. Like, because there was no Bulk and Skull and there was no Ernie, that really we have no context for how these teenagers live their lives, which, they're millions of years old.
Yeah.
They've been in hibernation.
170 million years.
So that makes them instantly kind of unrelatable in a way. And we don't know these cool warriors, like, at all. They're just cool warriors.
Yeah.
But it does seem more likely that they know what they were doing right off the bat, because they're trained warriors, pretty quick. Even though they get defeated pretty early on, they're still they're shown to be incredible fighters, and they know how to use all their powers. So it's not like in Power Rangers where you really have to suspend your disbelief that they really know how to do all this stuff right away. Like, there's no way.
Well, Zach's a dancer, so obviously he can fight it.
Yeah, I mean,
Hip-hop keto.
Some of the fighting isn't really off base, because most of them were some kind of athlete before they joined up, aside from Billy. But a lot of knowing how to use all this stuff is pretty.
I can pilot the Megazord right away. So.
The Sentai tone and the Sentai energy and mythology are way better.
Yeah.
But that's from a characterization perspective, it's Power Rangers has it.
Mm-hmm.
Strangely, the Zyrurangers, they weren't like previous sci-fi Sentai that had been done. It's almost like Saban adjusted Zyuranger to be more like the sci-fi Sentai that he saw in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, if you go back and you look at some of the old sci-fi Sentai descriptions, which were much more like tech-based, those are the ones that Saban was claims that he was watching like in a hotel room in Japan in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like he saw, okay, well, Zyuranger's the newest one. That's what they sold me. This is the best footage.
Use.
And I want to capitalize on dinosaurs because Jurassic Park is big. Mm-hmm. Or Jurassic Park's about to come out.
Yeah.
And so everybody knew it. The book was out. And I remember even as a kid, the book was everywhere.
Yeah.
Walmart was stocked. But he decided, I'm going to readjust this to be more like what I know. Because this is a kind of a mystical Sentai,
Yeah. Yeah, which, we would see in Power Rangers later on, but there had to be that sort of technological bend. And, there had been precedent with, obviously things like Transformers, of course, and had been very big in the U.S., and there was a little bit of familiarity with things like Robotech. So, there was a precedent for sort of technology-based, Japanese robot stuff. There's obviously some play off of that, but it is interesting because, the previous series, Jetman, probably would have been a better suit. Probably would have suited, his idea, or Tony Oliver, whoever, was behind everything. Probably would have suited their needs better in terms of adaptation, but just the way that the cards.
Well, oddly enough, Zyuranger was, by all accounts, the first Sentai to shy away from a sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, before Zyuranger, every single Sentai, they're using technology to transform. This is the first Sentai where they use actual magic to transform. Like, all their stuff's based in mythology and magic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it.
And ancient,
Yep, ancient stuff. And so, oddly enough, that means that any of the other Sentais would have been easier to have translated into what he wanted it to be. So, and you've got to keep in mind that the people writing the treatments for this thing probably didn't have, when they were writing the series Bible, didn't have maybe as much Zyuranger to work with at the time that they wrote it. Probably were watching the previous Sentais and writing treatments around it. Mm-hmm. So that's just speculation.
Or just getting their sort of... was it Jack Olisker wrote the series Bible?
Jack Olisker wrote the series Bible. That's right. Jack's a super nice guy, by the way.
Yeah, we've actually talked to him.
Yeah, he's a pretty neat guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a creative genius, too.
Well, he wrote for New Adventures of He-Man?
Yeah, he wrote a lot of New Adventures of He-Man. And
which is a very underrated show.
Jack can't help how they translated some of his ideas, too. He's talked about in the past how he just couldn't believe what they did with some of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the birth, episode 1 of Zyuranger. We hope that you enjoyed it, and please stick around.
Yeah,
and we're going to be doing the revival next.
We hope you're enjoying the show. It's like seeing something for the first time again. It's like
that's right. Watch it with brand new eyes. We do strongly urge you to support the official Shout releases of Super Sentai.
They're still going strong. They're about 7 or 8 sets in now, and
the only way they're going to keep going is if we keep buying them and keep supporting them.
Yeah.
So, watch it however you can if you can't, but I strongly suggest you try to support Shout because,
They'll just keep
listen,
going
we
with it.
begged for it for years. They were the first ones to do it. We need to reward them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, take care. We'll see you next time.
Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.